computer.
There you go.
We did it. I tell you, I'm a genius.
You are a genius.
You know what this is here? You're not psychic. I'm going to tell you, it's for my doggy. I've got my little doggy here down beside me, and I've got a little bit of food for her just to keep her happy. And hello.
She's lovely.
Yeah, she's great. Well, welcome. Thank you. This is the first, ladies and gentlemen, if you're all watching now, this is the first ever, I think, we've done of a pure energy healing practitioner who we're interviewing. Of course, we've had Layla, the great Layla Satie, who is the director now, director of the Pure Energy Healing Academy. Also, who else have we had on? I'm not really sure we've had that many people on in the past, but we had Scott Cornish. So really, this is really the first one where it's somebody who, in this particular moment where things are challenging, where things are difficult. And I've got to say this before I start. I was just driving here thinking, I'm going to interview this really nice guy. And I'm thinking the reason why is he a really nice guy compared to all the others that I've ever met in the world? And I'll tell you what it is, Steve. This is my truth, right? I've met and worked with hundreds and hundreds of people. And in that time, Steve, of working with these people, whether they became a pure energy healer or whether they wanted to become a pure energy healer for their own reasons, with most people, there's an attachment of something. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like they'll come, they'll work hard, they'll train hard, they'll do all of these things, but then if I don't give them the attention, if I don't give them the reassurance, if I don't hold their hand along the way, something changes within certain people. I'd say about 95% of people. And it's a bit like when you give somebody a gift, you don't hold on to its value. Because if you do hold on to its value, it becomes a transaction.
A business transaction.
Exactly right. You've got it. With you, it's not like that. And a lot of healers are deep down that they want to be this and that, but do they want to be that because they want to be that, or because they're looking for recognition of teachers or other people? This is what I was thinking when I was driving back here to do this interview. And I wanted to interview you because you are one of the few that I've ever met that has never wanted anything other than whatever's ever come to you. It's been a blessing. You've accepted it with love, and it's been like a bonus on top of what you want to do in your life. And that was me when I started at 38 years old. I never expected a thing. I worked hard. I worked hard for me, not for anybody else. I didn't want recognition. I wanted to do one thing, and that was to heal people. Does that make sense to you?
100%, yeah. 100%, yeah, it does. Well, I think you've got to have had, for me, you've got to have had quite a lot of different experiences that taught you that that's very important. Right. And if you've not got it, you've not got it. You've either sat in meditation or whatever you do to relax, and the answers have come to you, or they've not. True. And for me, it's been a long time coming. I've had a lot of things I've had to integrate, and I'm glad I did them because it's made me who I am.
I think that's one thing a lot of healers don't recognize, the fact that their past has made them the magnificent healer they are, and they tend to live in that blame or why me, even though they're an amazing healer. The great healers at the time, they still have that some kind of scar that it's hard for them to shift. And I often found that healers were the most vulnerable. Healers were the most sensitive and filled with a lot of pain and suffering, whereas just the normal person off the street would come in for a healing session, it would be a lot more easier to heal. So I think a lot of us as healers, we actually become healers because we're trying to heal our torment, torture, abuse, and sensitivity, in the sense that we want to grow from, you know, like you're a nice guy, right? But there's something.
Thank you,
being
that's a real compliment.
Being a nice guy, right? To most people, they see that as weakness.
It has been a weakness for me for a long time, but it isn't now.
Right. So for me, how I speak about that is this: weakness is only a perception of the person that sees you.
Yeah.
But you as yourself, as you see yourself, you can either see yourself as weak or you can see yourself as powerful. And my penny drop moment was when I realized that I can't be pushed around like this anymore, because I also have a life. I also have to heal myself. And if I'm to heal Jenny and Steve and Dorothy and the little doggy today, then the way that you're treating me is going to ruin all of them people. So you're not going to do that to me anymore. And my strength came from what my sessions were that week or that month. Because if I was upset there and I got caught into that weakness of others people believing I was weak and saying terrible things, as many people do because they're in a bad place, you know, that makes a huge difference in my life. So it changed it completely, from not allowing people to push me around and to tell me that I owe them. And I said, I don't owe you nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah, you do. You're a healer. Okay, so being a healer, that means I have to, you know, do everything that you say, jump how high. No, I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. And I got my strength by the experience, what you just talked about. So it's interesting, because what I was thinking on my way here as I was driving, I was going to ask loads of questions and stuff. But the first thing I wanted to ask you really was, you became a pure energy healer.
I did.
And when was that? When did you, what actually brought you to see the course? How did that happen in your life, Steve?
I think it was a lot of things that kind of come together in one go. Obviously, like the events of 2020 were a massive turning point for me. I've always had spiritual beliefs. I was brought up a Christian. And then I turned to Buddhism for a while. Just recently, I've been looking at like the Indian traditions as well. So yeah, I've always had an interest in the esoteric, I guess, the spiritual side of life. And feeling love and giving love was always important to me as a child. It was tough as a child because of the environment, but I'm sure people have had it more tougher than I've had it, so we'll not dwell on that too much. But yeah, all of those things went right through my life. I've been a scientist for 30 years, engineer, worked in regulatory, auditing people's work, predominantly in the pharmaceutical industry. Just before everything was shut down, I set my own business up as a freelance troubleshooter. And I'd just finished a contract at a pharmaceutical company, helping them do their cleaning validation on their manufacturing lines. So I'd literally just finished that contract, the pandemic hit, and then I was like, all right, that's interesting. What am I going to do now? So I didn't like what was happening. I didn't like the way healthcare and science had been politicized, and science had become almost like a religion. And it was like, well, we like this science, but we don't like that science. And so we won't listen to all these people, and we don't want to listen to them. And we'll leave it at that. So that didn't sit well with me, because that's not science. So I had to go deep. I've been following you for a long time. I've been listening to Rich Allen's show for a long time. I like to keep my mind quite open. And if I do get stuck in an alleyway where my thoughts aren't diverse enough, I'll try and sit with it in meditation. So a lot of things just didn't sit right with me. And I remember you putting a video out about your healing course back in August last year. And I looked at my company funds and there was money there, but it didn't seem a lot at the time. I thought, I don't know how long this pandemic's going to last for. I've got family I need to look after. So I just wrote, I'd love to do the course, Mark. At the moment, I've not got the funds. And I left it at that. And I'd booked on a Reiki course that was a lot cheaper. And then your wonderful message, Stephen, please contact the Pure Energy Healing Academy. And I was like, wow, okay. So I contacted the Academy. And within 10 to 15 minutes, a message came straight back. Mark, I'd like to give you the scholarship to do the course.
Really? I can't even remember.
Right. And I'll tell you what, Mark. I burst into tears. I burst into tears. But it was joy. I weren't sad. It was joy.
Spirit's amazing, eh? Like they just know, mate. They
do know.
Well, I didn't know that, to be honest. I gotta be honest, but the fact that Spirit knew that you were going to do something with it and work with it. So after the course, how did it feel when you were in the course? How did it actually feel? What did you get? What did you get from it that made you decide to become, like most people won't become a full-time healer, but what made you decide to say, I'm going to give it all? What was it?
It just felt like it was what I was here to do.
Amazing.
Literally, it just felt like it was what I was here to do. No. And I'd already started my own path of healing a few years prior. Because believe it or not, I mean, I weigh about 10.5 stone now. Like 6 years ago, I was 18.5 stone.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Neck. That's great.
I had sleep apnea, major depression, anxiety, loads of things going on.
All of those things make you a brilliant healer in the end as well, because you go through all of those things and you can recognize it within people, and you know, it's a brilliant thing. The more issues, I know one shaman who ended up as a child who couldn't walk for a while, and I think even Ajahn, I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy called Ajahn. I sometimes worked with him. He's like a beautiful guy, and his past was horrific. What the suffering and the physical pain he went through in his body was like crippling, and then he changed his life through that, and now he's one of the strongest and powerful guys I've ever met. So I think we have to go through these things at some point to become a good healer. I think, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right, because how can you understand somebody else's issues if you've not had to negotiate your own?
Yeah, that's how
I mean, it's like I like football.
Yeah.
So let's use the analogy of a coach.
Yeah.
Most coaches in the Premier League have probably played football or played football at a very high standard.
Right.
To be able to coach people.
Right.
So how can we be healers if we can't heal ourselves?
Yeah. I think the best, like for me, if somebody said, if I was meeting somebody and it was like a serious conversation that I needed to help me, you want to know the background, you want to know what they've been through, what they've done.
Absolutely.
You know? And for me, it's so important that natural experience, rather than just reading books, is far more important to me when I meet people and listen to what they've got to say. I normally can tell the difference between somebody who's read 150 books in a year, every year, and somebody who's been through the experience. You know, it's a completely different energy frequency, because they're regurgitating information that they have no real true understanding other than that it felt right. And there's a lot of them out there, but for real healing. So let's get back to you then. So you've done the course, and after you did the course, you decided to start and make you've got to make a living. So you've got to be a full-time healer, and you've got to charge. Of course you do, because you've got to put food on the table.
I have a real problem with that, though. I'm never going to make any money being healed.
No, you don't. You don't, because that's not what it's about. But you still.
I know, Matt. I hate charging people.
Yeah,
I hate
no,
charging.
you won't do it first. I didn't. For the first 2 years, I didn't charge. But eventually, you're gonna have to come to that point where you say, okay, now my training's over. I've done my training now, and I know it works. People like what I do. They've all complimented, so there's something in that. If not, then they wouldn't say anything. People are coming back. And you have to get over this bit where the free bit, and like my issue was I couldn't touch money. So what I did was I had a box, and I just say leave the money in back box or whatever you can afford. But we have to go through our own trauma of this idea of this kind of religious, spiritual, new age religious belief that a lot of people say it's a gift and you shouldn't be charging for it. And I say, well, I don't charge for it. I charge for my time. The gift is free, but I do charge for my time because it's my time, because like you charge for your time, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But so when did you become a pure energy healer? What was the date of after the course?
I would say I finished the course. It took me a little bit longer than the 4 days because during some of the healing sessions, I was starting to feel symptoms from other people.
Right, you were picking. Should we talk about that then? What was happening?
Yeah, I mean, my daughters have been having trouble with sciatica in her back and her legs, and I was getting the pain transferred into my body. So I had to learn how to channel that energy back to source or back to earth. What I did find was, I mean, it's not so much of a problem these days. But at the beginning it was. But what I did find that helped with me was salt baths. So if I got in a salt bath,
yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I'd be like right as rain. I'd have a good soak for an hour or so.
Exactly.
And I'd be right as rain.
Right. So that's good for anybody watching this now. Any pure energy healer who just started. Or any Reiki healer or pranic healers. That's something that you know, if you're watching and listening to this, take it on board. Sea salt bath for 1 hour, and basically it's just about gone. There might be a bit of residue, but eventually just your own energy cleans it as well. And
yeah, if there's any residue left, Palo Santo.
Exactly what I was going to say. Palo Santo, or be underneath a tree, which Palo Santo exactly is that. It's a tree. So if you're in that energetic frequency, you find that you heal very quickly. So my working day consists of 7 to 10 clients, and then walking on this very street, getting to the end of the street and meeting up with my tree, which was like 300-year-old olive tree.
Wow.
And I just sat with that tree every single day after my healing session with my 2 dogs. And I was, sure enough, within 15 minutes, I was fine. And there is something in that. If you agree, in principle, to a tree, sounds crazy, but there is this kind of shamanic understanding that if you become a healer, then that you find a tree and you both have an agreement, and that agreement is the tree will absorb that negative energy from that day or that week, and then you can go back again. And there's been actual evidence put forward in many books that some trees actually die because of that. So they agree to die, but take that energy for the healer. So it's a very beautiful spiritual connection.
Well,
and,
I have a lovely willow tree at the side of a lake that I like to sit under. It's very peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sit there and say to it, listen, can we have a contract? You can just feel it, and you know the pull.
Yeah.
I was actually with somebody not so long ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, and they found their tree, and I was with them when they did. And it was an amazing experience to stand back and watch that connection and to see what was happening. It was incredible. The earth was actually opening up for them and pulling them in, and there was movement between the person and the tree. It was incredible. So like for me, I realized the power of a tree. So let's move on then. So Steve, so now you're doing healing sessions. You've opened yourself up. You've become a little bit vulnerable, because now you know you have to do the work, and your mind's going to be like all over the place, because this is a new thing from going from science to natural healing. It's an amazing thing. Where are you right now to this day? What are you doing right now?
Right now, I'm building client list. So the clients are coming at the right time. I believe that spirit brings the people to you that you need to heal.
Exactly.
I'm definitely seeing that with it's synchronistic for me.
Yeah.
Things will happen and you just can't explain them.
Madness, eh?
You know, and then I'll have been gifted something by a client, and then somebody else will contact me and I'll go to a healing session. It'll be that very thing that they've gifted me. That's going to help me in the next session. Yeah, it's nuts. I don't even try to understand it anymore because I just accept it.
Yeah, I tell you what, Steve, the more you do this year after year, the more you realize that you become so connected that it's not even important anymore. It just is. It's like, well, this is normal. This is my day. This is a day with working with the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it. But this is normal. So you pulled, you pushed, you're you know, all at the same time. You're learning, you're experiencing, you're sharing, you're giving, you're receiving. There's all of these things happening all at once. Energetically, you're growing, you're experiencing in a spiritual manner. And the downloads are incredible. Things are happening that is so hard to explain. And when you actually do the work, these things actually happen. And eventually, this is how I see it. I think after a while, when you do it and you just keep doing it, eventually what happens is, this is my truth. Eventually, spirit looks down and says, you know what? This guy or this woman has really proven to themselves. And through that, I think there's some kind of mutual respect and love, so that they nurture you to where you need to be and they guide you. And that guidance becomes stronger the more you become more open.
I've definitely been feeling that the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, I'm just in flow all the time. I try not to set like times to see people or other than clients, obviously, but I try not to plan my day out too much, because I find the magic really happens when you're in flow and you just let things one moment flow to the next.
So true. So true. The flow is the hardest thing to get into, but once you're into it and once you trust it with all your heart, magic happens from that moment on. And it's so easily to step out of that flow because of fear and worry about what's outside. But when you're in doing your stuff, isn't it funny how there's no fear? When you're actually doing the work, there's no fear.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful when you're doing the work. There's nothing better for me. Nothing better.
Yeah, and I say this, and I've said it for years. The more healing sessions you do, not only do you heal, but you become stronger and more powerful in so many ways. I mean, without my years of healing, I think I'd probably end up like my dad, abusive, in the sense of angry all the time. And, and I still have to watch my anger and my thoughts and feelings. But I'm a different person than I believe I would have been if I didn't do the healing work. And I'm so grateful for that. So we
had very similar fathers, Mark.
Yeah. So
we had very similar fathers. My dad was quite a bit older than my mum.
Yeah.
But he was ex-military. He was in the RAF.
Yeah.
He flew Lancasters, my dad.
Wow.
But not only did he fly them, he had a couple of jobs that he could do on the plane. So he was second pilot, he was navigator, and he was flight engineer.
Wow.
And he was actually a boxer as well in the RAF.
I can imagine.
So he was quite fearsome, and I was terrified of him as a child. And
yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it.
But I love him to bits now. I mean, he's in spirit. I feel him with me every day.
Yeah,
I've got his ring on, and I always know when he's with me. I always know when he's with me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see it as making up, but I see it as, part of the journey. And thank you very much for the experience, Dad. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I got it.
Yeah, it's really helped me.
So when was your last healing session, Steve?
Last healing session would have been back end of last week.
And how, can you take us through it? You don't need to mention the person's name, but can you take us through what actually happened on that healing session and what you learned and gained from it?
Okay. So been working with one particular client who contacted me back end of last year, really struggling with anxiety because of everything that's going on in the world, and they got their eyes open, so they were plunging down the rabbit hole. Yeah, and they're spending far too long down the rabbit hole, and it was really starting to affect them.
Yeah, danger. Good for you. Good for you for saying that. I've tried to explain that to people. There's nothing wrong with going down the rabbit hole, but don't stay there too long, eh?
No, you've got to come up for air.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant observation. So is that what your analogy was, or your thoughts were, you're spending too much time and it's making you even worse?
Yes. And from my own experience, because I did do that for a little while, and I realised how bad it made me feel.
Didn't we all? I think we all have to go through that. So yeah. How did you? What did you do then in the healing session?
Well, I selected. I looked at the crystals I had. I selected what I felt was going to be of use. So I used things like tiger's eye.
Brilliant.
Amazonite. Amazonite is a lovely
fabulous crystal. Fabulous
yeah.
crystal.
Yeah. Palo Santo cleansing sticks I use with every client.
Did you use that before or after? Did you lie them down or within?
I do it. Well, the way I start the session, I normally, if I'm going out to the client, I'll cleanse the space first before I even start the session.
Good move.
So I'll normally sage the room with a bowl, proper bowl. It's not as big as your bowl, but it's big enough. So I sage the room, give it a good clearing, play some nice Tibetan tones in the room.
Nice.
Do that for 5-10 minutes. Then I'll sage the person down before they get on the healing bed. Get them on the healing bed, get them all relaxed, get the music on. Sometimes I'll ask the client if there's any kind of particular music that they're really relaxed to. Because for me, it's about the client being relaxed for the healing to really do its fullest.
Totally. That's a brilliant move.
Yeah. So I often will say to a client, is there a playlist or something that you want to use? You don't have to use the music that I suggest, you know.
What would you say if she says Black Sabbath?
I might, well, you know, yeah, I'd probably worry a little bit about that, you know.
Because one of my clients here on the coast, or an Irish guy, he went through some terrible stuff, and I says, come on then. So he lied down and he said, do you mind if I put some music on to relax, mate? And I said, yeah, sure. And he put the classic album of Pink Floyd.
All right.
Like, wow, this is interesting. Okay, let's see if I can do a healing session to Pink Floyd. And actually, it got me into Pink Floyd. I'd never heard of them. I heard of them, but never thought. And I listened to the words. I was doing the healing, and certain words were coming through to help me do the healing session.
Synchronicities.
Yeah. So it was like, listen to the words, listen to the words, listen to the words. Okay,
wow.
To go there. And it was quite phenomenal how spirit brings a certain something to the table, eh?
Do you know, it's interesting you should say that, because I found in some of my sessions, the more random I try to mix things up, the more I learn because of synchronicity. That's
a really good point. And I think that was something that I try and encourage in the Pure Energy Healing course. Just flow. Yeah. There is no right or wrong, just flow, because by stopping them from being rigid or by being taught a certain technique, then you're never going to be open to anything else, because what you're being taught is a robotic kind of energy, and nothing else can kick in. Nothing else there's no room anywhere else. The glass is full already because, you know, I filled it for you. No, leave it empty.
What I liked about your course, what I really took from it, and what I'm reminded of every time I do a healing session is just that. It's the randomness, it's the flow. And you know what it's like when you try to learn something new, you're really concentrating on it. And while you're doing that, you're setting yourself up new programs. You're setting yourself up new tracks to walk around. Yeah. And if you're not careful, you'll keep walking around the same track every time and never learn anything, or you'll learn a very small amount. And flow, synchronicity and randomness, that's where all the magic is.
It is. And people have been programmed to keep well away from that because it's fearful. It's not solid. It's not tangible. And if I haven't got a set ABC, then it's not correct. Whereas actually it's the opposite way around. Everything that we've been taught is back to front, wrong way around, inside out. And you figured that on the course. So this is why, as somebody who isn't a teacher, but somebody who's an observer, I see these things, how easily it is to lead somebody to do something that all they do is just become a copy of me. And that is the worst thing with anybody who hasn't got ego. They don't want to see you copying. They want to see you doing what you do. And I watch and see if you're actually following the flow or if you are actually just listening to the mind. And I can see it with every reaction. And we have to stop ourselves sometimes, because you can look for a crystal and then all of a sudden you can start thinking about it, and then you're out of the flow, because as soon as your mind kicks in, it's finished, right? It's done.
What I try to do is I have my crystals organized into PowerPoints.
Right.
I'll empty them out onto the area where I'm doing the healing. And then, so I don't have to think about what I need.
Totally.
Yeah. So I'll be doing whatever I'm doing, depends where the sensations are in my body that I'm feeling from the client. And then I try not to think too much about what that means. I'll just look, I'll glance quickly.
That's it.
And there'll always be something that'll catch my eye, and I'll just reach for it.
That's it. That's it.
And then I'll see, is this energy clearing? Is it moving? What's happening? How do I feel now? Is there a blockage moved in me? There's lots of little signs, but if you get stuck in this thinking monkey mind, you're going to miss all that. You're too busy thinking.
Yeah, it's gone. The moment's gone. Now you're back into the program. You're now back into the matrix. So you're right. I mean, the art of healing is to get out of the physical mind and get into that space where you are in the flow. And that's what you've just said. So when you were working on that client, you said you were working on 2 particular crystals. Where did you actually find yourself doing most of the work? Because I'm interested in knowing how other healers work. Where were you predominantly with anxiety of the client who was in the stress?
With anxiety, I tend to work solar plexus, sacral, feet.
Why solar plexus? Just tell us what brought you there. What was it that made you feel you had to be at the sort of roughly around there in the feet? What?
Because I know when I've been anxious in the past and fearful, I feel bad here.
In your stomach.
I feel bad here. So it stands to reason that somebody else is going to feel bad there.
Were you drawn there, or did you work on that principle of how you felt in the past? Because it's connected.
When I first started, I was doing it from personal experience.
Yeah, which I did.
But as the healing sessions mounted up, as I was doing more and more and more, I was starting to feel the pain or the suffering in my body.
Right.
That was in their body. So what I would do is I would scan the body first.
Right.
To get my feedback. So I would be resonating with their field.
Right.
I would get the feedback. And then I would go, right, well, I need to go here now.
That's it. Well, this is good for anybody who's starting healing, because a lot of people were a bit nervous and a bit scared. Should I, shouldn't I? Where should I be? Where should I go? Go with that kind of experience of how you would feel. And like you said, this is my personal experience. This is where I felt. This is where I needed the healing. And then from there, you find you get out of that, and then you follow the energy and the feeling, whether it's in your body or whether it's a pull to go somewhere else. So how from going from the solar plexus to the feet, did you go to the ankles? Did you hold the ankles? Did you go underneath the feet and like that?
Right under the soles of the feet with both hands, and pushed energy. It was like I was pushing the energy up. Yeah. To come out.
Ah, wow. So the other thing is as well, when you're working on the feet, I find personally that it's easier for me to have a seat and sit down and put both my hands so that they're comfortable on the healing bed, or turn around look outside of this window, as I used to do, and hold both of my palms up against their feet. And that
I have done it that way, like that, on the river. Yeah, I've done it that way. Yeah.
And how does that feel?
It's more comfortable, because then you feel it's very important for you to be comfortable as well.
Exactly.
It's not just the client needs to be comfortable, you need to be comfortable, because you can't feel the flow properly if you're all twisted up and you can't feel it.
So true. So comfort and feeling comfortable, not having any issues in your body, then allows. So there's something in the feeling of being uncomfortable to allowing that energy to flow through you, which means that it's very subtle. It's a very subtle energy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It needs a perfectly clear vessel with no energy of issue or problem. And this is why I've come to the point where I came to understand that if you're not 100% both mind, body and spirit, then you're never going to be 100% healer, because you don't receive that perfect energy, because whatever your issue is, that is going to be the first thing that the energy needs to heal. So it's almost like spirit gives you 100%. You've got a problem in your head. It now takes 10% of that. It runs through down your neck. You've got an issue of speaking to people, so that's another 10%. It goes to your shoulders. You've had a hard day's work that day and you're carrying a lot of burdens. That's another 10%. You've given your shoulders. And by the time it comes out of your hands, you're only giving maybe 50%. Whereas if all of that's gone and you're in complete and utter happiness and you've got no physical, then you can give 100%. That's how one of
the other things that I tend to do before I go out to see a client is I'll prepare my body.
Brilliant.
So I know that I've got rid of all of the, depending on what I've been doing, because you never know what's going to affect you energetically. Totally. What you've read, what you've heard somebody say, what you've eaten, loads of things can affect your internal energy and your external field. So what I tend to do with going to a client is I'll do half an hour of breath work and meditation before I go out to a client.
That's brilliant.
To get myself right.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely amazing. So let's move on. You've obviously got a computer. You do work on the computer. Have you done any sessions via the internet, and how does that feel?
Yeah, now this is the one that really blew me away, because you've got to remember I've been brainwashed into this materialistic, dogmatic thinking.
Yeah.
30 years of being a scientist. So this took some getting my noodle round.
I can imagine. I can only imagine, mate. It's absolutely brilliant. Go on.
But when I first discovered the power of it, the remote healing, I was like, hey, it's a good job I've seen The Matrix and a few other films to get my head around what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've had lovely feedback from people. To be honest, some of the most powerful sessions that I've had have been remote sessions.
And you know, when I say this to shamans, they like look at me as if there's something wrong, and I'm saying you should try it. And a lot of them are old school, so you know it's one-to-one. That's it. But actually, when I gave up my healing work, I was doing 95% online around the world, one-to-ones over the screen, and 5% in here personally. It was incredible. So yeah, it's great that I'm getting confirmation that you understand the power of there's no such thing as space and time. It doesn't matter where you are. In fact, that one-to-one can sometimes cause an issue because you're right there, you're in that energy, you're in that frequency. Whereas if you're sat here, you can then step into their energy and frequency at your own doing, when you're ready, when you are energetic. There's no,
and you're comfortable. You're comfortable.
No disturbance, is there?
And you can cleanse the space around you perfectly.
Exactly.
There's so many advantages to it.
Absolutely. That's why I think it's people struggle when they come here, and I tell them, you know, most of your best work is going to be done on the internet, and they look at me as if there's something wrong with me. It's like, that can't be possible. But actually it is. It goes against everything, really. But it's true. It's amazing because there's no interference. There's no you know, people looking at you nervous and walking nervous and all of these thoughts and feelings with them. And it's like, you know what, they're on the screen, you do the job and then you're away and like, wow, what I just felt there and what your client felt. It's like, yeah, it's incredible. So you've got that now, right? You understand how it all works. So it's a piece of cake. And once you get to a point, I'd say, of truly understanding how this works, then you become stronger in your work because you know it works. I think at the beginning, your fear is that what stops you becoming the best healer in the world, right?
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing is that the more sessions that you do, the fear just goes, because you're healing that.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a proper healer and you've took on, you've kind of integrated what you've experienced, because every healing session is different and every healing session will teach you something. And then sometimes you might not learn that in the healing session. Sure. You might learn it 2 days later in meditation.
Exactly.
It'll just come to you and you'll go, oh, yeah, bloody hell. I remember that now.
Yeah.
I remember that thing happening and I know why.
Exactly. It's almost like the pieces are floating around and then all of a sudden pull them out of the ether.
It's in the field, the consciousness field around us.
Yeah. And once you realize that there's an abundant amount of pieces that can be pulled at any given moment to put them pieces together. And I think that's how the gurus did it. I think that's how the Buddha did it. He sat down and waited for that information, but he wasn't waiting for it. He was trying to find it. He was trying to see it and feel it and how to get it. And eventually, I think a lot of healers get it, and then they can just get that information. And it's not like, oh, I'm not sure, or it's just like, it's there, it's here. And that isn't cockiness. That is because you've got used to it and you get it now. It's there for you. It's free and it's abundant.
The tricky thing is not to overthink it when it comes in either. Keep it in its purest form.
It's not even a thought. It's just a piece being fitted together and then, oh, look at the puzzle. I get it now.
It's like a knowing. It's like a knowing. It's like, right, got that. Yeah. We're good.
And move on. Time to move on. Next. It's like, don't dwell on everything too much. That's why my observation of the mirror is very similar to spiritual work. Don't look in the mirror too long because you're going to find faults. Just let it be. Just take it. Okay, I accept it and move on and keep going. And eventually, I think it's an energetic experience rather than a brain memory. You don't need to memorize anything because at the right moment, that energetic field just appears. So it's like, oh, it's there. It's always been there. Oh, I didn't even. Oh yeah.
Well,
wow.
The way I see it is we are energy in a meat suit.
Yeah.
And you're surrounded by energy.
Yeah.
So as long as you can keep your energy intact and you can tap into the field, then everything's good.
It is.
Everything is good.
So, Steve, how are you feeling now that how long have you been a pure energy healer? How many months or?
Well, I did the course in August last year.
Right.
So I finished your course it probably took me a week instead of 4 days.
Right.
Which I was grateful for, to be honest, because I spent a lot of time in the Zoom calls because I was learning so much from the Zoom calls.
Right.
From other healers.
Right.
That in between my sessions where I was kind of recuperating, because I didn't want to go out and do healing if I wasn't feeling right.
Totally. Makes sense. You've got respect
for
people.
I would say the last 2 months I'm ready to go. Like the last 2 months, the sessions have been off the charts, amazing, and I felt stronger and stronger every day.
Are you writing it down, or are you just holding it?
I did start to write it down, but then I saw one of your videos and you said you had books and books of things you brought down, and then you thought, why did I bother doing that? So I started to journal, and then I've stopped doing it because I found it was too confusing.
Yeah, exactly. That's but I was told by my first mentor, write everything down. Question everything, write everything down. Question everything, write everything down. And then I looked at the books and thought, well, why? What for? It's meaningless.
We sounded like a broken record here, but everything's out there in the field.
It is.
You know, you don't need You don't need it in a book. You've got it.
No, if you want to write a book, write a book. That's fantastic. But you know, when you write a book, the best time you write a book is when you feel what you've done. You feel, it's not what you've written down, because what you've written down, you can't write down feelings of what we do and what happens to your client. You know, it's in that moment.
Sometimes there's no word, you've not got the words to describe it.
That's right, I agree. It was hard for me to write my books because I didn't have the words, and even now I still read some of them chapters just looking back and think that this just doesn't give it the recognition of what it deserved. But like I'll say to, you know, like I'll say to one of my clients who was in the book, how do you feel? And they say, you know, Mark, it was lovely, but you couldn't write about it. You'd have to be in that experience. Only you know that, don't you? And I said, yeah, but imagine trying to put that energy, that feeling, that magic, that miracle moment, that, write it in a book. There's never going to be, I don't think, even the best writer in the world couldn't put that in it, that moment down. That's the problem with writing books. You only, and even books are better than films, you know. You can get deeper into the words. But seriously, if you know, when somebody turns around and says to somebody else on a table about what happened to them on a healing session, you get a little taste of it, because you're feeling somebody else's understanding of a miracle that happened to them, and then no doctors can explain, you know, why that happened. And
the other thing is, of course, Mark, is that sometimes what I found with my clients is, when I've spoken to them in subsequent sessions, they'll say to me, my thinking's changed on things.
Interesting.
And it's took time to happen, but so they can't. Sometimes you'll do a session, but that healing's not finished.
Yeah, totally.
So the thinking's changing, the feeling's changing, and then maybe a couple of weeks later you'll see them, or a month later, and they'll say, do you know what, I do this now, and I do this, and I do that, and it's really good, and I don't know why. And I just smile.
Exactly. So what as you know, we are not really healers. We're there to help people heal themselves, to become
with the phone line to the consciousness, to the field. That's all we are.
Yeah. What I find fascinating is how people can actually switch on the guru within them, how they can become a teacher, how they can start to feel things like they've never felt before after one healing session. It's incredible, the journey from that moment on of what awakens inside them. And I do believe that a healing session, with most healers, don't really appreciate what they've helped to awaken the flame within people. It's unexplainable for when you sit with somebody after 1 hour, they get back up, and for 54 years of their life, they've never felt joy or happiness. And then they get up and they're crying because they've never felt what they've just felt in 53 years of their life. That was
I had one client, who's got one of these labels, ADHD. His mind could never shush. First thing he said to me after the session was, my mind was quiet, and that's never happened to me in all my life.
That is a miracle, Steve. That's a miracle, because no doctor, no pill, no nothing can substitute that. Science have tried, but all they do is subdue. They numb. But what you do is a natural.
Turn you into a vegetable. They give you a load of pills and they turn you into a vegetable, so you can't function.
And then they go like this: we did a good job, because they sat down, they're not saying anything and doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Because they can't.
Exactly. So, but what you do in a natural way is you give them that opportunity to feel that sense of peace and quietness, which means then they think about it, they go away and think about it and say, well, if I can feel like that, he never gave me anything to swallow, I just laid down. Well, actually, you did it yourself. And now you can understand, Steve, why I say on every course, when somebody gets up and says, thank you, you turn around and say, no, thank you. You did this. You did this. Because you're affirming to them that only they could do this. By doing that, you give them the power to hopefully, and not always, but every now and again, they walk out of that door and say, now I need to take my power back. Because we can't do that for them. They've got to figure that out for themselves. So any little nice cherry on top by telling them, no, you did this. You made that happen. You did this, right? That is the exchange and giving them the power back, confirming, affirming the power that they have within them. And that's ultimately what a pure energy healer should always do, give the power back.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. That's the best thing you can do for another beautiful soul, just to give them the power back, especially if they've been really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And not had any confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been taken away from them.
Who gives them confidence? They go to a I'm not going to say where, but they go to certain places and somebody writes out a piece of paper and gives it to them. So they walk into a place and you know, swallow certain things. But what about the bit of trying to actually help somebody? You know, what about just giving them 10 minutes of your time, 15 minutes? That's all gone. That there's no such thing as that anymore in the mainstream medical thinking, because there isn't time, we can't do that, you know, and so on. But I see it as our job is a twofold energy. One is to show them how powerful they are, tell them how powerful you are, powerful, and help them connect to that power. So help them, you know, not just tell them, not just affirm it to them, but actually they go, oh my God, I feel it. I felt it. Okay, well, that's yours. You did it. And I think that makes a really good healer. A lot of healers that I met in the past 20 years, they used that and they took it. They took that from them. That moment of when they should have given that power to them and told them, reassured them and confirmed that that was them who did it. They took it, they stole that power and said, you're only going to get this if you come back to me. And that is a slippery slope, and it's very dark. That's
ego energy. So you want to stay right away from ego.
Yeah, but there's so much out there, and that's why I decided to start teaching pure energy healing to a few people who enjoyed having a healing session. And that's when I realized this is something that is very, very important, that people know that you should never, ever stand up and smile and say, I did that. It was me that did that. Oh, yes, I'm the healer. I'm this, you know, it's just, that's a slippery slope. It's a dangerous.
My take on it, Mark, is I've watched a couple of your videos recently and some older ones too, going back a while, on karma.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think if you take advantage of somebody for your own personal gain, I don't think you want to be doing that.
No, you don't. I've seen so many people fall head first in so many ways, physically, you know, spiritually, emotionally, relationships. You just don't do it. Just don't do that. There's no need to. There is no need to. But yeah, it's a
your ego is always going to be whispering in your ear, well, if you do this, you'll get this. And if you do that, you speak to this person, you do this. And all these marvelous things will happen. Yeah. Just, I'm not listening to you.
Yeah.
It's about my clients and their well-being.
Exactly. Do you feel better? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? But do you feel good? Yeah, but let me tell you, yeah, but do you feel good? Yeah, but I want to tell you, yeah, but do you feel okay? Yeah, that's all that matters. If you feel happy, give us a cuddle. See you later. Be on your way. I have this here. I mimic kicking my clients' asses out of the door.
No, it makes me laugh though.
But I do that because get out, go on. You've had your healing session. Bog off. Next, please. And people look at me and like go, well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? No, it's not actually, because you're doing a job. And if you start getting too much into it, then you know what, mate, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for the recognition? Are you doing it because you want to feel good that you've helped somebody? No, you're doing a job, just like you do a job every day. This is a job. I've done my best and I did it with all my heart. Give us a big cuddle. Now be on your way. Right. And I don't want to know anything else unless you come back and, you know, we need to do it.
And again, Mark, again, broken record, flow.
Yeah.
Get out of this monkey mind, thinking mind. Just like you say, concentrate on your clients.
Exactly.
Do your utmost for the clients. And when they've gone,
work on yourself.
You don't think about if they're coming back next week, next month, whatever. Nope. You're open, you never see them again.
Exactly. And the thing is, you know, if you're thinking about your client thereafter, then you're putting fear into that client, because just like on the screen here doing one-to-ones, it's the same energy. In fact, sometimes it's more powerful. So if you're worried about your client after the healing session because they haven't contacted you the day later, or a week later, or a month later, then you're sending that very energy to them. So if you cut yourself straight off and say, it's done, I did my best, that's all I can do, my best, and then the universe will take care of them now, because you're not the only healer to heal them thereafter. There's going to be another 50 healers straight after you. Could be the person at the end of the street, could be some, you know, a stranger. It could be their mum, it could be their brother, it could be anybody, another healer. But we are just part of that moment that they are becoming stronger and more powerful. And how we act is very important at that moment. And I think you get that, right? I see within you, Steve, whenever I talk to you, I never actually see you, but I see a picture of you on social media. And I don't know if it's you. There's something there, but there's your name there. And I'm always attuned to it and feel it. And then when you say something, your words mean nothing. It's your energy, because anybody can say words, anybody can say anything, but your energy, that's what I feel. And I think Layla Satie mentioned something to me, was it a week ago or something? And she said, you know that guy called Steve? I said, absolutely, I know him. He's got an amazing energy. And she confirmed that. She said, what a beautiful energy. So yeah, and that's why I wanted you on, because, you know, I know with my hand on my heart, I can feel it, that you truly want to do the work. And you remind me of me when I first started. I just want to do the work. I want to do the best I can. Yes, I do want to be successful in the sense that I want people to come and I can, and I help them. But you know what? If they don't come today, I'm going to work on myself, because I need the healing. And then if a client comes, then thank you very much. I'll do my best. But it's out of love. It's not out of money. It's not out of, you know, ego. It's out of wanting to help the community and people around. I get it. I feel it. In fact, you don't even need to tell me that, because you feel it whenever you pop up online. There's another guy called Brendan.
Brendan's lovely.
Right.
Brendan's lovely.
Right. He's another one of them energetic energies that don't even need to say anything. You just feel it. You can feel comfortable. You feel safe with this person. You feel like that if you fell, he would be there no matter what, just like you. You'd be there no matter what. And, you know, that is what I feel a true healer is. And we have to work towards that. I had to work towards that to get to that kind of state where people would trust me and believe in me and say, you know, Mark will never let me down. He'll do his best. And that's as much as I can get from him. And that was it. I would never bullshit anybody. I'd just say, look, I don't know. I really don't know. But my door's open. I'll see you in an hour. Come here. Please don't say anything. Just let me do the work, okay? Because if people are telling you stuff, you start going into your mind and then you ruin it. Don't say anything. Don't tell me your name. Just come and lie down. Let me do the job. Afterwards, get yourself off. And that's the best we can do. That's it. That's what I've got. This is what I've got. This is what comes through. I can't do any more than that. So what has been given, that's it. So that's why I got to the stage where words became irrelevant, because words only are there, in my opinion, most of the time now that I've understood this healing work. Words are only there to fill in the gap of something not being felt. If your mouth is shut and the work's been done, you do not need to say a bloody word, because the words were said for you by the healing session, right?
The words are given by the emotion and the feeling in the body. You don't need words, because it's obvious what's happened.
You get it, right? That's how it is. Absolutely. So what's your, you know, I know you're in the flow. You're probably going to say, I don't know what's going to happen, but, you know, I'm just going to keep going and see where it takes me. Bit boring, really. But if you had a dream, what would that dream be? Because everybody dreams. Everybody thinks.
My dream, Mark, and it might sound corny and cliche, but I'm trying to strike a deal with the universe at the moment.
How'd you strike a deal with the universe? Hey, come back.
I'm trying to strike a deal where I don't have to worry about charging people anymore.
Right. So, okay, well, I think a lot of healers will be thinking that. Let's talk about then, shall we? So what did you learn from the course about charging? What did you hear from my mouth?
What did I hear? I heard, what I learned was the thing with the bag's a good idea. The thing with the bag where you don't have to touch the money. Because if someone's truly had a life-changing session, they will pay what they can afford. And everybody has different amounts that they can afford.
Of course, yeah.
So I think you've got to go back into flow again. And if you've done a session with a client and you know that's been a powerful session because how it's affected you,
yeah,
and they've left you like, say, £5, then I don't know, it's difficult.
Yeah, this is how I see
it. It's difficult. This is why I don't want to have to charge people, because I don't want to have to think about what they paid me.
Exactly. However, if you go to a mechanic, right, you're going to ask him how much he charges, right? Because that's very normal. If you go to, I don't know, a teacher of piano, whoever, they're going to tell you how much they charge an hour. And you're going to say, yes, that'll be really kind. I'll have a session, or I won't have a session. It's up to you. So if you have say like a website, and you just say, if somebody says, how much you charge? If you say, well, if you go to my website, all the prices are there. So the prices could be, 50 euros a session, 20 euros a session, 200 euros a session. However, you could have a sliding scale and say, this is my normal price, what I normally charge per hour. However, I have a sliding scale. So if you can't afford that, then you come down to whatever price, you want as a sliding scale. And then they go, oh, wow, that's really kind, So that's another way. Here's my take on that, right? I took me ages before I could even start to charge, of course, but then I started charging 25 a session. And then I was happy with 25 a session, because that's like 25. If I was doing 7 clients a day, that's a lot of money to me, because I wasn't used to earning that kind of money, So it was like, okay. And then it went to 35, and then it went to 45. And then I was using psychic cards with a healing session. Then it went to 65. It stayed at 65 for a long, long, long time. And I didn't put it up. And finally, I think it went to about, was it 85? This was after like 12 years. It went to about 85. And then I'd do 1 hour and 40 minutes for 120. I was fully booked for 1 hour and 40 minutes for 120, and nobody ever wanted anything but the 120, because they wanted a reading with healing all the time. So all I'd be doing was them. So I'd do that every day, and then I stopped doing the sessions. And then what happened with me, I know it's boring, but what happened with me is I thought, I can't do this no more, because I exhausted myself, totally exhausted myself. So if I, had a message for anybody and they were becoming a healer, then you can get so excited. You can get so excited that you book yourself up and you don't give yourself a break. So I was working 7 days a week. I was traveling and I was having no breaks. And my suggestion is to have at least 2 days off a week in between. So if it's Wednesday a day off, and then Saturday a day off, or Sunday a day off, 2 days a week, to give yourself re-energize yourself. And I know it's difficult, but if you get to that busy stage, it's important. If not, you'll burn out.
Yeah.
You'll burn out. You'll burn out very quickly. So I burnt out a lot. I burnt out quite a lot.
And I did have a tendency to do that when I was a scientist. I did have a tendency to do that when I was a scientist.
Totally.
So I am aware of my own limitations, and hopefully that'll stand me in good stead, going forward. I'll keep an eye on. Well, I was very aware of it during the course. That's why I took a week to do it instead of doing it in 4 days.
That's very, very.
The old me would have just plowed through and done it in 4 days.
Yeah, that's great. There's gurus in the world that give a talk, and they give a talk once every 6 months. One talk. but the energy that they give in that one talk is enough for what somebody would do working 7 days a week and putting 7 hours, 10 hours in a day. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not the quantity. And a lot of healers make the mistake that they think, I need lots of clients, I need lots of clients, I need lots of clients. Whereas actually you only need one client and you do an amazing session, and that's enough, because that energy then will spread, and then more people will hear about you. But if you're diluting yourself by doing as many sessions in a day as you can, getting as many people in as you can, then actually that energy on each client will be diluted and it won't be the same. So there's
and then the next day you're going to be shattered, and there might be somebody who really needs a session, and you're not there to, you're not at your best.
Or you turn around and say, I can't do it today, which I've done many videos and said to people had come from Switzerland, around the world, knocked on my door, and it was their moment for a healing session. I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't do it today. And they'd say, what are you talking about? I've come from Switzerland, or I've come from Rome, or I've come from here. I'm saying, I'm sorry, I can't do it today. I don't want to let you down, and I'm not of good strength or energy. And then they'll normally say, okay, no problem, I get it. When can you do it? And I'll say, well, hopefully tomorrow I'll fit you in first thing, and then I'll go and I'll meditate. I'll go to my tree, rest, relieve. And then the next day they have a brilliant session, and that's fine. It's done. But you have to stay true to yourself as a healer. So most healers won't. They're more, you're like, okay, I can't let my customer down. I can't let them down. But actually you did let them down, because you gave them a session and you weren't 100%.
And when when you're 100%.
Yeah, it's awful.
When you've been doing energy work long enough, when you're 100%.
Yeah, and when they've gone away, you feel let down, and it's an even worse feeling, and it lasts a longer time.
It does.
And don't do that again. Respect yourself and respect your client. So that's great that you like that. So what was the deal then that you want to strike with the universe?
The deal was literally through working, doing this job, make the abundance come in that will help me to do my job better for my clients and not have to charge them anymore.
Mm-hmm. Steve, it's not about charging, mate.
I know I have this. My sister says it to me. My mum says it to me. You've got a real problem with charging people.
But it's not about you. Like you've just said to me that I'm trying to make sense of it, but it doesn't make any sense. What you're saying holds no sense in there. Oh, so I don't have to. That sounds nice, but it doesn't really mean anything. You see, for me, it's really simple. Somebody comes into my healing academy and they say, hey, Mark, I've heard you're a healer. Yeah, I do my best. Okay, well, I'd like a healing session. No problem. So the guy lies down. You give him a healing session. He gets up. Whoa, that's brilliant. Whoa, what was all that about? That's amazing. Whoa, freaking hell. Okay, he pays you. He pays you 50, 70 quid, whatever it is, right? He goes. There's no issue there. The guy's got his session. He feels great. A woman walks in. She's crying her eyes out. She's just lost her daughter. She has a healing session. You're not going to charge her. You're going to give her a cuddle and say, no. You give her a cuddle. This is nothing to do with money. This is an affair of the heart. Give us a cuddle, please. And my door's always open to you. Okay? That's who you are. I know that's who you are. So you shouldn't have a problem with money. You shouldn't have an issue with money, because the guy who comes is happy to pay. And that is to me, the key point. You let the universe provide, but you also have to know and step in and say, you know what, no, I'm not sure. But if you say no to everybody, you'll feel sick. You'll start to feel sick inside, because hey, you've got to live. You've got to put food on the table. You've got to pay the kid. You'll feel sick because you know deep down that customer was happy to pay. I did this, so I know what you're going through. And they'd look and say, what, you don't want to charge me? And some used to look at me and say, why are you doing that? And I say, well, because I want to, knowing that I feel bad to take money off you. And then they'd feel weird.
What I have noticed in the last 2 or 3 weeks is I'm beginning to be able to read people so that I do know if they're able to pay.
Yeah.
And those that aren't able to pay.
And the other thing as well, you have a.
So I'm intuiting that more now.
I'll tell you how I found that, right? There's a sick feeling you get inside. And that is, if you're about to charge somebody and start feeling a bit sick, a little bit sickly, or you feel like you could be close to being a scallywag, that don't feel good.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Right? Don't charge. No, hey, this doesn't feel right. I'm not charging. I'm not questioning why, but something doesn't feel right. If I don't get that feeling, right? This is. If I don't get that feeling,
Matt, can I just ask you something quickly?
Yeah.
I get like a tightening in my chest when I'm around bad energy.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
That's very normal. It's nothing to do with having a heart attack or
anything. No, I know, because once I remove myself from it, it's fine.
Yeah, no, that's very normal. I used to get that all the time when I was dealing with heavy energetic work. I get a tightening. Sometimes my breathing, and for me, it was just a case of I wasn't breathing it out enough. So breathe. Right. That's why I'm on course. I always say breathe, because if you don't breathe it out, it sticks, it stays, and then you feel it, and then you have to breathe it out, and you have to work on yourself even more.
And the breath work's really good for that. If you do the breath work every day, you'll learn to breathe like that.
That's amazing. I never actually learned to breathe that way, and I'm always attuned to breathe. So I have to tell myself, I've trained myself to tell myself when to breathe, because I've tried that breath work. I've tried tons of different breath work, but if you can manage to master that, then you have no problem at all. But like, again, for me, it's like, my confirmation sometimes is because I'm in a little bit of pain. Oh my God, it's here. Get rid of it. Okay, then I'm doing the job, and then I just need to clear it. But I think each of us have our own little strange ways of healing. I know one healer who used to get hiccups all the time, and that she'd laugh because she knew she was doing a good job. And hiccups is a very normal thing with healing work.
Wow. I've never experienced hiccups.
Yeah, everybody's different. The other one is where your client constantly coughs and doesn't know why. That's another great healing affirmation, because you're clearing some heavy stuff that now they can't stop coughing, and they get up and they're apologizing, and I'm smiling. What are you smiling for? Because healing's being done. That's healing, So then towards the end of my last 5 years, I used to say, if you close your eyes, you see a lot more. If you start coughing, or if you fall asleep and you start snoring, you wake yourself up, so that is all beautiful. Be happy in that energy, because that's beautiful. But then I used to think, well, what if they don't snore? What if they don't cough? Then they're going to start wondering. So you know what? Just let it be. And then I used to say, whatever comes in, whatever leaves. And there's nothing you can do that will stop this healing from taking place today. This is your moment. And that's it. It's done.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, you get to find out. Sometimes you'll say different words because spirit will guide you to say something different. But, I always felt that if you can shut the mind off by saying to them, there's nothing you can do that can ruin this. Whatever comes into your mind is fine. Whatever stays is fine. Whatever leaves is fine. Then the mind goes, and shuts down. It shuts down because it doesn't, okay, if anything comes in, it's okay. If it stays, it's okay. If it leaves, it's okay. Okay, all right. Because what we're trying to do without telling them to relax is to relax. Relax. Oh, I've come here. What do you think I've come here for? To relax. I don't know how to relax. So there's no point saying relax. So you have to find ways to relax them through your actions and through your love and through your kindness. And most of all, what you said, through the cleansing of the room, because they relax through energy.
Yeah. That's the good thing about going out to the client, because then once you've done the session, you've left that room clean.
Yeah.
Energetically.
Yeah, and that's amazing. How many clients come to your that's a really good point, Steve. That's a really good point, because when you're doing a healing session in one-to-one and they're in their room, the energy that you're coming through with is cleansing that room. How many healers will be watching this now thinking, yeah, I gave them a healing session in my healing studio. They went home into their own negative energy, and then they're back to being stressed again.
Yeah.
It's a great point. It's a great point. It really is. So it was a joy to chat with you, and we'll have a chat again shortly. How can one get hold of you for a one-to-one session on Skype or one-to-one? How can they do that from today?
Okay, well, you can reach me at my email address.
What is
which
it?
is Stephen with a PH, M for Mark. That's my middle name.
Oh, that you're lucky.
So it's Stephen M. Allpress at gmail.com.
How do you spell your last name?
Allpress is Allpress.
It's a nice name. Where does that come from?
It's no, that's interesting. That's interesting. My uncle traced the family tree back. Originally, it's a rare name. Originally, it was Allpress. It's a French name from Normandy.
Wow.
Our family came across with William the Conqueror.
Really?
Now, yeah, the Allpress were the All Fathers, and basically they were William the Conqueror's holy men. The generals that William the Conqueror had, the generals had their own family holy man, and that's who the Allpresses were.
Amazing. We've got something in common, because my family tree, my genealogy goes back to a French bishop. So my great granddad was a French bishop whose brother stole all his wealth and killed him. So his brother killed him.
Wow.
So, something like, I don't know how it worked out, but yeah, he got all the land, all the French land was taken from him when he died, obviously. So it's really interesting. So apparently my sister traced back. So we're Marquis, so I'm a tent. I'm a bigger tent than you. Yeah. So
they can reach me at my email address. You can also reach me on Instagram, 2173 Steve.
2173
Steve. So, and there's also a link on my Instagram account to my Facebook account that has my business page.
So what's your business page called then?
Equilibrium Pure Energy Healing.
Equilibrium Pure Energy Healing. That's nice. Yeah. It's a mouthful, but it's nice.
It is, but it kind of came to me after a session. I was thinking about balance and scales, and I had Libra going up. I have Libra in my chart as well.
Right.
And there was a load of things going on, and a load of synchronicities happened on one day. I just thought equilibrium, and it just all came together in a moment, and then
that's great.
I stuck. So
that's beautiful.
Equilibrium's about balance, isn't it? So you balance mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, I used to think that Libra was, but actually it's all over the place, and it's unbalanced. It's with me anyway. Hey, what you just make your mind up. Oh, I'm a Libra. Don't ask me to make my mind up. Anyway, Steve, it's been great talking to you. We'll talk again soon, and long may your healing career continue, and whatever path the universe has for you, whatever deal you want to strike with them, may grow forever and ever. And good luck, buddy. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being an amazing soul and helping so many people. I've already heard, so keep shining, mate.
Bless you, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, talk soon. Take care, Steve.
Lovely. Bye for now. Cheers.